Hey guys, welcome back to a new video. I'm Stephanie Fisher. I'm a licensed counselor here in the state of Michigan, and I'm owner and operator of In Progress Counseling. Early on in treatment planning, one of the pieces that we often work with together with clients is helping to expand out someone's distress tolerance. So we'll often use the language, a window of tolerance, which means I can endure my frustration or my agitation or my uncomfortableness to a point, and then my defense shows up or my coping strategy shows up. And so when we expand out our distress tolerance, what it means is we stay in the discomfort just a touch longer. And if we do that again and again and again, what it does is it over time expands out our distress window of tolerance, and it allows me more choice points. If I can successfully stay in the griminess of something another 2 minutes or 3 minutes or 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 15 minutes, the more I coach that particular opportunity into kind of my response system, the less reactive I typically am. Something we know about emotions is they can change over time and actually pretty quickly. If we engage in kind of a high level of distress, often within 5 or 10 minutes, it might be assuaged or diminished somewhat. And so as someone is allowed to sit in their distress and not yet react to it, what it can do is it can create choice points. What I will often go over with clients is we cannot tolerate distress typically if our fight or flight is accurate. So if I am in a legitimate crisis where unsafety is happening, I'm not going to take time to override my system and tell myself to stay calm and be okay, because I'm not okay. Things are actually life-threatening. However, often our response systems, the volume is turned up too high or goes up too quickly and gives us the kind of alert of a crisis when something's not actually a crisis. So anytime I override the system, what I'm in essence telling myself is, hey, you're okay. This is not a crisis. And so we'll look at something like breath work. If I were in a legitimate fight or flight, life or death struggle, I'm not going to take time to tell my parasympathetic nervous system, hey girl, you're okay. No, I'm letting fight or flight do its thing, and I'm getting out of that context as quickly as possible. So anytime I use breath work to override my fight or flight, what I'm in essence doing is breathing peace into myself. I'm breathing safety into the situation. I'm overriding instinct and impulse, and I'm saying, hey, I'm okay. And so to tolerate distress or to grow our window of tolerance, what we're doing is we're overriding our fight or flight system. So something like a physiological sigh or deep breathing or grounding when I'm agitated, what it does is it overrides my fight or flight system. My instinct says shut down, but I'm going to delay that. I'm going to breathe first. I'm going to give myself 5 minutes to just reevaluate the situation, to work on re-regulation, getting my system to stay online a touch longer before I give it permission to retreat or withdraw. Anytime I do that, I'm taking a reaction and I'm turning it into a response because we've created a gap there. Enhancing our distress tolerance is pivotal in identifying that we have choice points. And so I'll work with a client to say, hey, is there a time this week that something stressful is going to come up? And they might say, yes, I'm spending time with my sister. She always gets on my nerves. Or I have a particularly long drive this week and I get kind of agitated behind the wheel. And so we will intentionally look for opportunities to practice breath work, to practice de-escalation strategies. We will look for those opportunities to, in essence, choose to tolerate distress, understanding that when I do that, I'm making myself stronger at tolerating distress. Over time, I'm creating gaps between my impulse instinct and how I choose to respond. Distress tolerance is key. And so we do something like a physiological sigh where the person next to me is chewing and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna lose my relevant mind. That is me actively tolerating distress and making myself stronger. So with clients, we'll say, can you put it on the clock? If it's 4:15 and you are agitated and you want to rip someone's, face off, you can't do that until 4:20. So how do you want to successfully get from now until 4:20 without shutting down, retreating, lashing out? We can do breath work, we can do distraction, we can do mental relaxation and visualization. The more we add in those strategies, the more we are increasing our distress tolerance. It is a pivotal piece of emotional wellness to have choices in my responses. And this is one of the ways that we start with clients. Hey, where's your reactivity now? The window of distress, it's pretty little. How do we get that to increase? How do we get you to tolerate distress and still be okay? And even remind yourself that you're okay. Do the things that demonstrate that you're okay. It's a very, very important skill set. So if you're around something that's frustrating this week, the physiological sigh, it's 2 inhales through the nose and a prolonged exhale through the mouth. Even something like that can disrupt that immediate reactivity. And so I can go, and I only have to do that about 10 to 15 times to give myself the 5 minutes of speaking peace into my reaction system and saying, girl, you're okay. It's an annoyance, it's frustrating, and you can still be fine. Increasing my window of tolerance is so pivotal for emotional health. That's the invitation today.